Hi guys, how are you guys going? Hope you guys are all good. I just want to review the French Open final. I'll review the French Open final and then I'll discuss the implications for the GOAT debate. It won't be a long video where I'll go over it, but I'll go over the match quickly. Just the French Open final and then the GOAT debate. So, firstly, like I said in the semi-final, I felt like Djokovic beat Nadal because he played at a really bad level. Like he hit, I think, more unforced errors and winners. Nadal, right? So that was poor. But then, like one thing is if you go for it and you're attacking, and you hit a whole bunch of errors. You're controlling the court and you're hitting all these unforced errors because you're taking risks. But then the other option is you're defensive and you're good defensive and you're playing safe and you're not giving your opponent anything with the unforced errors, right? Um, but the worst thing you could do is if you play it safe, right? Supposedly to wait for your opponent to make mistakes. But at the Nadal Djokovic level, that doesn't really work anyway. But if you were to do that, right? What you would want to say is, I'm giving him control of the court, which you shouldn't do. I'm playing it safe, but I won't get many errors and I'll play great defense and chase everything down. Well, in that match, Nadal actually played it safe, gave control of the court for Djokovic, but somehow, even in playing safe, not even a real attempt to attack, hit eight more unforced errors and winners. Now, if anyone says Djokovic forced them, well, there were forced errors too, but that's just unforced errors and winners, eight more, right? But he didn't do it in an attempt to control the rallies or take control. He was happy to play it safe, Nadal. But yet, even in the attempt to play it safe, and willing to play it safe, play defense, give Djokovic control of the court, which is meant to be a low unforced errors game, and you're hoping Djokovic has more errors. Even in that state, he had eight more unforced errors. So it's eight more unforced errors, but you're not taking risks, you're not attacking. So that's the worst situation to play it safe, but then hit more unforced errors and winners, right? Well, he's won the French Open 13 times, Nadal. So was he due for a bad game? Yes. Did it happen? Yes. Um, I would say in the 2009 loss for Nadal, before I get into this final, right? Um, he was injured and had a bad day. And look, the next year he destroyed Soderling. So it wasn't as Soderling was better in 2009. 2015, he lost to Djokovic, but he lost to everyone, won no clay court tournaments. This year, he never really reached a good level. He was up and down, inconsistent. Even when he beat Djokovic at Rome, he had a set that he lost 6-1, but won the other two. So his best was better than Djokovic's best, but Djokovic maintained the level more consistently. So when Nadal dropped, Djokovic killed him 6-1. But then the two times they were both at their best, Nadal just scraped through two close sets. But the thing is, no, this time he didn't play two out of three sets at his high level. He played well 15% of the time. End of third set, start of first set, right? And if you want to sort of work out, was it Djokovic reaching up to Nadal's previous level, or was it Nadal dropping off? Let's look at what Nadal has done, just say since 2017. He's dominated like this, Roland Garros his whole career, right? So coming into the 2021 French Open, in the previous 4 years, which Nadal won it, 17, 18, 19, 20, yeah. 4 years he'd lost three sets. That's extreme domination. So it's not just you're winning it. And then with the two losses, he'd only been even taken to fifth set twice. So he's dominating everyone so much he's winning in just a second. He's winning in straight sets or four sets, and that's going on back since 2005, right? So that kind of domination, three sets lost in 4 years at a tournament, right? Did Djokovic present that, right? Well, in that type of a scenario, what you would see is Nadal doing the same thing, not dropping a set the whole tournament, by Djokovic matching it and not dropping a set. And then they meet. And then because Djokovic has now reached Nadal's level where he's not dropping a set and he's just killing everyone the way Nadal does, they both these two high levels come together and Djokovic comes over the tops and get the win. Did Djokovic play at the level where he would be losing 3 sets out of 4 years? In such a case, well, the only match that he would have an excuse if he was at that level is to lose a set to Nadal because he's beating someone who's already done that and he's trying to dethrone him, right? So did Djokovic do that in this tournament? Well, he won his first 3 rounds in straight sets, but then was down 2 sets to love against Musetti. Now Musetti did what Nadal did to him, and he's playing well the first 2 sets. Great defense. Nadal struggles to get it through the clay court for a really good defender on clay. But then Musetti has that big serve to hit through the court through Djokovic's defense. Djokovic has got no answer, but Musetti, he's young. He's not there yet for a Grand Slam win. He couldn't keep it up. So again, Djokovic consistency keeps that level, wins, right? But again, he's lost 2 sets already. Nadal lost 3 sets in 4 years, right? Okay, give him a match. Then he goes against Berrettini. He loses another set, right? We're forgetting the Nadal match for now because Djokovic, you can expect him to lose sets if he wants to reach Nadal's level to sort of dethrone him by Nadal not dropping and him just reaching that level. So just forget the Nadal match. Okay, final Tsitsipas. 2 sets lost, coming back in 5 sets, right? So do those matches look like what Nadal does usually at his usual self during the 13 French Opens? We've never seen Nadal have to come from 2 sets to love down twice in a tournament and then go to 4 sets in another occasion. We've never seen that. So that to me indicates that Djokovic's level didn't reach what Nadal has reached in any of his 13 titles at the French Open. So what we have here is Djokovic just doing enough fighting to survive and winning the French Open, whereas in Nadal's 13 titles, he loses basically 1 set or no sets the whole tournament. So Djokovic didn't reach that level. That's a fact, right? So why did he win? He won against Nadal because Nadal's level has dropped, right? So anyway, I think that should be clear. Like, the media want to say whoever's the best are the champion. It was the best match ever. The best match ever, you have Nadal at his normal self, straight sets every match, Djokovic doing the same, which didn't happen, and then Djokovic level just too high. That didn't happen. It's a fact. It didn't happen. So people just need to accept it and deal with it and face reality. So let's move on from that, right? So what we had is Djokovic doing his normal level where he's just fighting, surviving, winning big points, doing it enough. But then usually when he comes into the Nadal level of losing 3 sets in 4 years, that level's not enough. And it wouldn't have been enough this year either. But lucky for him, he won this title this year because the Nadal that's losing 3 sets in 4 years, that Nadal didn't exist this year. So this level where he's clearly been the second best of the French Open and playing the level that he did this year most years and good enough to beat anyone except for that extreme high level of Nadal who loses 3 sets out of 4 years, being too high. As long as he doesn't face that, he's good enough to win, right? Well, that's what changed. So I don't think Djokovic was any better this year than the other years. I think he was always good. He's made Nadal battle. Like 2014, he had Nadal down a set. Nadal came back and won. 2012, tough 4-set battle there too. 2013, it was 5 sets. He was up 4-2, right? So we've seen this level or better from Djokovic before, right? But the difference is there wasn't this issue where he was the second best there, and he's got to reach a level of a Nadal who's losing 3 sets in 4 years, an extreme level, right? Where this current level that won him this year couldn't get to the level because, like I said, he's battling down from 2 sets twice, going 4 sets with Berrettini. It wasn't that level, right? but usually it's not that level too, right? So this current level beats everyone else but Nadal. But on this year, because Nadal never reached that level, then the level is usually the second best at the French Open now became the best. Not due to him being better, but due to Nadal being worse. So that's why he won. But we should understand, like if you've won it 13 times, you're due for a bad game. It happened, and then now this level that can say I can beat anyone else except for this extreme high Nadal level, lose 3 sets in 4 years, right? Now it's not existing. So now that level has suddenly become good enough, and he's the champion, right? So let's go into the final with Tsitsipas anyway. But I was just pointing out I don't think Djokovic did any more this year, really, right? Like I think he was better in 2013, right? Especially when like he was up 4-2 against Nadal in that fifth set, and that's a Nadal way better than this year, and they're younger. So even Djokovic and Nadal, I don't think either of them in general are as good as they used to be, right? So I think both level are dropping in general, but like we see certain days where one is better than the other, like the highest level they have now and the worst. Like French Open last year, Nadal was at the best level of a 34-year-old that he could do at the French Open. Djokovic was at the worst level on his worst surface, so it was a disaster. This year, when they played, Nadal was at the worst level he could be at this point of his career on clay, and Djokovic was at the best level he could be for this time. He's produced better, like I said, 2013. I think 2015 maybe. But you could see it was a similar thing as 2015 where Nadal won. Djokovic beat Nadal, and Nadal, who wasn't playing well like the normal years, right? He took advantage of it, and his level was now good enough to beat Nadal both years, this year and 2015, right? But then the test, another big test, was it Nadal being off or was it Djokovic being better? Both of the years that he won was, let's look at how he did on the final. So the final, Stan Wawrinka in 2015 produced a great match, and Djokovic's level couldn't stand up to that because the reason was he didn't beat Nadal in 2015 because he was amazing, right? It was because Nadal was off. And it was proven when Stan Wawrinka even played a great game, it wasn't as good as Nadal at his best. It was good enough to beat Djokovic. And that showed to me and to everybody that Djokovic only beat Nadal that year because he was off. And wasn't Djokovic at a high level. And when Djokovic had to play a high level and Stan Wawrinka, what happened? He lost. And a similar thing this year, Djokovic won because Nadal was off, right? When you're always consistently there, the second best, whenever the other guy has an off day, you're there to take advantage, right? So that's what happened there. So the same thing if with him winning this year, and it's not due to him, it's due to Nadal being off, right? What we would see is if a level like Stan Wawrinka came again, it would expose Djokovic because it wasn't Djokovic being amazing. It was just him being sort of an opportunist and being always the second best and waiting for an off match, right? From Nadal, right? And then you're seeing that with Stan Wawrinka, who brings a high level, not as high as Nadal at Roland Garros, but it's enough to expose that Djokovic only won because Nadal was off. And when he had to reach that high level, he couldn't deal with it, right? So this year, I was thinking maybe Tsitsipas in this final would do the same thing to him that Stan Wawrinka did, right? Um, and then we would see, is it Djokovic who's just amazing right now, and you can't bring that kind of level to him like you couldn't to Nadal, or is it he just won because he got Nadal on a bad day, but if you bring a great level in the final, he can't handle it. We saw what happened in 2015. It looked like it was him until he actually played someone at a similar level of Nadal who was on that year, and Djokovic couldn't handle that level. So this year it's Tsitsipas, right? So Tsitsipas brought that Stan Wawrinka level in this final, the first two sets. And what happened was Djokovic couldn't handle it. Again, because it shouldn't be surprising to anyone. It's not him who's done anything special. It's he's always not far behind Nadal, but Nadal's off. So it makes him look better, and he's in the final, right? But then in the final, someone produces a high level, similar, not quite as good as Nadal at his normal level, and suddenly you're seeing it's not that Djokovic is any better, it's that Nadal was worse, and that level that Djokovic usually brings wins. But when the high level from a different player resurfaces, you see Djokovic still can't handle it. He loses 2015, and then when Tsitsipas brings that in this final, he still can't handle it. He's down 2-0, right? But the difference between this year and 2015, Stan Wawrinka was able to expose Djokovic that it wasn't that he's any better, it was that Nadal was off. And because you're not any better, if I bring a great level to you, I can beat you. This year, Tsitsipas tried to do that, to say, you only won because Nadal was off. You're no better. So if I bring that high level, I'll beat you. And the first two sets, look, he's killing the guy, right? But the difference was Stan, it wasn't that Djokovic was any better. In the 2015 final, Stan maintained it to the end. Tsitsipas got up 2-0 and was nervous. That was the only difference. But Djokovic was exposed for part of a match here, and then the guy had him down and just put the foot off the accelerator and said, like, just like Nadal was off, I've exposed you for 2 sets, but I'm going to be off too, right? So that's what I see is happening. But Stan had won a Grand Slam, the Australian Open, before. So that helped him with confidence to maintain it and break through the barrier to actually beat Djokovic and keep the high level up. That would beat him. That would basically show that, like, Djokovic isn't any better. Rafa was off. But if I produce a high level similar to Rafa's level, it's going to show that you're not any better. Tsitsipas did it, but he didn't have the nerve to finish it. He just had the nerve to keep it up for 2 sets, right? So, but it's not about Djokovic. It's about the fact that Nadal was worse. It made Djokovic look better. But then if someone else does it, Djokovic still can't handle that high level. It happened with Stan, happened here the first 2 sets. And again, the end of the match isn't about Djokovic either. It's about that level, that high level is good enough to beat Djokovic, now drops off and doesn't maintain. So I don't think that Djokovic wasn't, you can say someone won or didn't win, but Djokovic's level wasn't any better than 2015 final. Both times he only got there because Nadal had a bad day. He kept a consistent good level, but then Stan brought him down because that level wasn't good enough to beat a really high level, right? And Tsitsipas was on track to doing the same. But then Tsitsipas falls off below that level, which which Nadal usually produces, even a higher level than that. But anyway, Stan produced it in 2015, and Tsitsipas had it the first 2 sets here. It's a level that Djokovic can't play on clay. So Djokovic was at Tsitsipas's mercy, but Tsitsipas didn't finish it like Stan finished it in 2015. Tsitsipas went below the level that gives Djokovic trouble, dropped it off, and Djokovic could say, well, I'm at your mercy, but if you want to drop your level below me, my level is usually the second best at the French Open. It's now good enough because you're not playing at that extreme high level, so I can deal with this. So Djokovic comes back. Part of it is the nerves from Tsitsipas that you didn't finish him off the way Wawrinka did 6 years ago. But another part of it is the fact that I think he could have been injured. He was grabbing his I don't know where it was, like lower back area, it seemed like, and calling the physio. So I think physically Tsitsipas was compromised, at least at 2-1, and mentally getting through that barrier, breaking through your Grand Slam, he wasn't able to maintain the level that would beat Djokovic. Djokovic was there for the taking. Like, he battled down and he fought and he survived. He wasn't just dominating. So if you produce a high level, you could get him. And Stan showed that can happen in 2015. And Djokovic only beat Nadal because of the off day. And Tsitsipas could have shown that too, and was showing it, but then the injury and then the mental barrier of finishing him off, um, that was the issue. And then also, I think he found out that his grandmother died 5 minutes before he went out of court. So I think that was sort of affecting him too, right? Um, so there was a whole lot of things, but the point of it is if he could have produced the Stan Wawrinka match, he would have shown that it's the same thing. Djokovic won because he got an off day from Nadal both times, but Stan Wawrinka finished the job, and Tsitsipas got injured and nervous and wasn't able to maintain it. So then that level that beats Nadal on a bad day, um, but most of the time can't beat Nadal at the French Open. Couldn't beat Wawrinka that year. Tsitsipas was producing that high level, too good for Djokovic, but it wasn't able to be maintained. Djokovic is very good at keeping that good, consistent level. If you play really great, you can beat him, but if not, he'll just be consistent. He'll beat you. Another thing about this final match, I just feel like Djokovic was like, he was clearly physically tired and, like, he tried the most drop shots. He went for the line. He was constantly trying to take risks. He wasn't really willing to rally with Tsitsipas. So you got to do what your opponent's showing he doesn't want. He doesn't want long rallies. He's going to end the point at all means. So you've got to force him to do something he doesn't want. But Tsitsipas didn't get that. So Tsitsipas also shortened the point. So then that's beautiful for Djokovic. He can sit back and say, I don't want to work physically. I want to shorten the point, but I want to win the point. But you're ending the point for me, so I don't have to work, but I'm winning it, and it's an error. Part of it could be because Tsitsipas couldn't take advantage because Tsitsipas was also physically compromised. So he couldn't just say, I'm the younger, fitter one. I can see you don't want to be in a rally. You need to go for it. You need to hit drop shots. You need to shorten the point. So I'm going to not allow you to shorten the point. I'm going to make it as long as possible. So even if you come back from 2 sets to love, you'll be too exhausted on the fifth set, right? Tsitsipas didn't do that. Tsitsipas helped him to shorten the point by going for too much. Nadal's issue with Djokovic was being too defensive and hitting the forehand across court. When, like, 2014 final, great example, Nadal was down a set to Djokovic and said, I'm not going to let you control the points. I'm attacking. I'm going forehand down the line. Turned it around, right? After 2011, 2012, 13, a bit of 14, Nadal realized being defensive and hitting cross court, that's not what's going to beat Djokovic. So you've got to attack, hit it down the line. But the problem was in Nadal's match, he went back to that pre 2012, 13, 14 level of being defensive and hitting the forehand across court. And that was his problem, right? In this match too, this year. But Tsitsipas made sure he wasn't going to make that problem. That's what put him ahead in the first 2 sets, right? By not making the mistake Nadal did, being too defensive, giving Djokovic control of the rallies. Tsitsipas said from the beginning, I'm going to attack. I'm going to be controlling these points, right? And you saw. Now Tsitsipas is doing what Nadal should have done. Not instead of being defensive and giving Djokovic control of rallies, take the attack to him, have control of the points, right? And Tsitsipas was doing what Nadal should have done, had him down 2 sets to love, but then he suddenly comes up with a different problem than Nadal after that. Instead of being too defensive, which Nadal was, and giving Djokovic controls of the rallies, Tsitsipas is now being too attacking, going for too much, hitting errors, and then now Djokovic is too tired to be in a rally. He gets to have short points and win them, and Tsitsipas is bailing him out. So you could see one time Nadal too defensive in the semifinals, Tsitsipas too attacking, making errors. But when you had that level of like attacking but keeping on the court consistently, Nadal had Djokovic down 5-love in the semifinals. And the end of the third set, he broke back, got on serve, went up 6-5, was going to break again, had it all over him. destroying him for 5-love at the start. Tsitsipas destroying him 2-love. But when Nadal went away from that and defended, and Djokovic wasn't under any kind of a threat, look what happened. When Tsitsipas, instead of just attacking, but attacking within yourself and to go over the top with the attack and now hitting errors, then look what happens. Loses the 2-love lead, and Djokovic has got him. So you can see there's this level that Nadal usually produces here that's too good for him. Tsitsipas produced in the first 2 sets. Stan Wawrinka exposed him that it was he only beat Nadal because Nadal was off, because you're not really at a high level. And Tsitsipas did it for 2 sets but couldn't finish the job. So that's the way I see it. Tsitsipas did that, went up 2-love, and then just went for too much. I think it was his grandmother dying. I think he was nervous trying to break through first Grand Slam final. I think that was an issue for Tsitsipas. I also just think like he seemed physically injured in some kind of way, couldn't move, didn't have any defense, and the level to beat Djokovic, it was just lost. And when you're up 2-love, you want to keep a guy down. You want to make him fight. Like, you don't want to bail him out and let him up a break to start a set. Then the set's over. Down 2-love, he feels like he's up a break. Now that set's mostly gone. Then you get into a fourth, have a chance to put him under pressure while you're still up 1 set, right? But instead, what does Tsitsipas do? Tsitsipas goes down a break again, so there's no pressure that set. Djokovic just stays ahead, and now we're in a 5th set. Now all the pressure's on Tsitsipas. He was up 2-love. It's back to 5 sets. He's on the pressure of trying to win his first Grand Slam. All the momentum's against him. All the momentum's with Djokovic. How many times he been in this position? So then that was another issue there, right? So anyway, that's how Djokovic has won this French Open, and he's at 19 Grand Slams. So let's discuss how all this affects the GOAT debate, right? Let's get into that. So Djokovic, like I said, played about the same level. Nadal was off. He's usually, I would say he's the 3rd best on clay normally, because I felt even if Nadal had a bad day like this, Thiem is the next best. Thiem beat him in 2017 French Open, 2019, but then Thiem was even worse. So now your 2 biggest challenges, Nadal had an off day against you. Thiem is out in the first round. You're consistently the 3rd best, and before the last couple of years, you were the 2nd best. So it's yours. So yeah, but anyway, he's taken advantage of that. He's consistently been up there a bit behind Nadal, waiting for an opportunity when Nadal wasn't his best. He's got it and he's won it, and he's at 19 Grand Slams now. And part of it has been a waiting game where he's always been consistently just a bit behind Nadal, and saying to Nadal, if you drop your game, I'm going to get a French Open, and that's happened. So what happens now? He's got 19 Grand Slams. Nadal has 20. Federer has 20. It's extremely close right now. And he's won all 4 twice. I mean, when you look at it, right, like Nadal, even though Nadal didn't win all 4 twice, right, the test is winning multiple Grand Slams on all the surfaces. So Nadal had an advantage in the GOAT debate. Like, he had 2 on grass, 5 on a hard court, and 4 at the US Open, which is an event once a year, and then a lot at clay, right? But there was 1 surface. Djokovic only had 1 slam, which wasn't the case for Nadal. French Open on clay. But now his 2 French Opens can match 2 Wimbledons from Nadal. Both on their worst surface, they've been able to pick up 2. So they've matched each other there. Nadal's got 5 on a hard court, so that's a lot. Djokovic has got 5 on grass, you know? So, like, we're all pretty even, whether it's the Australian Open or the US Open, it's all hard court. The reason why he's not as good at the Australian Open, I think it's because the start of the year, coming off an off season. Nadal, it's not about the surface, it's about the time of year. But yeah, we're all pretty even there. And then Grand Slams, 20 for Nadal and Federer, 19 for Djokovic. Djokovic is a year younger. Masters 1,000, it's tied. Nadal and Djokovic head-to-head. Nadal and Djokovic. Djokovic has got 2 more, but he got in 2015-16 when Nadal was off and he was on, he got like about 7 to 10 wins or something like that. Just beat up on Nadal, so a whole lot of those are from that. Nadal's won more in best of 5, at least 3 more, and Djokovic has got a number of more in best of 3. So I think the best of 5 hold more weight than the 2 more best of 3 sets that Djokovic has. So I think considering it's 2 matches and it's 2 best of 3 set matches, and Nadal won more of their Grand Slam, I think we're even in that. We're even in Masters 1000. So it just comes down to the Grand Slams at the moment. Nadal's at 20, Djokovic is at 19. I mean, it looks like Djokovic is in the pole position. I would say, like, if Nadal won this year, he would be at 20, Djokovic would be at 18. He'd be 3 ahead. He would have tied the head-to-head. He's tied him on Masters 1000. He'd be 3 ahead in slams. Djokovic wouldn't be able to say head-to-head anymore, but now all that's lost. So if I would look at a best of 5 set match, like the GOAT debate and the slam race argument, it's like leading into this match, they were 1 set all in best of 5. Now it's like Djokovic is up 2 sets to 1. So he hasn't won it yet, but he's in pole position. Nadal had a chance to go up 2 sets to 1 in this slam race. Like it's a best of 5. I'm using an analogy. But now Djokovic is at pole position. He's up 2 sets to 1. And Nadal, it's not over, but now Nadal has to come back. Do you get what I'm saying? If Nadal won, it would have been the other way. But they were playing for pole position, which Djokovic now has. But it's not over. And if they was to stop now, Nadal would have it because he's got more slams than Djokovic. He's tied with Federer, and then the tiebreaker when you're tied in slams should be things like Masters 1000 head to head. He's got both over Federer. We know Federer won a whole lot of Grand Slams against people like Roddick and Hewitt. So I'd say if it stopped now, Nadal would have it. But the fact is they're not stopping. And if Djokovic can tie or get ahead of him, then he could be the GOAT. So really there's a lot on the line. What we could see, like you'd think that Nadal now has no confidence from not even winning the French Open. So how's he going to believe he can win the others, right? Well, we could see a situation like this, where on grass it's been Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. The next gen guys, the younger guys, haven't done anything on grass. So with Federer now being 40 and being out for so long, even on his best surface, you can't pick him to win. So if Federer's out of it, then it's down to Djokovic and Nadal. Well, Djokovic has been playing for 2 months on clay courts. He's played for 3 weeks in a row because he played in Serbia. He's physically exhausted. He's probably going to have to take 2 weeks away from tennis training just to be physically okay to have a shot at another 2 weeks in 2 weeks of 7 best 5 set matches to get through that. So he's not going to have much preparation for grass. He's going to be exhausted. He's not going to have any preparation. He's barely going to be able to spend any time on the grass courts because he needs to get through another 2 sets. So what if that's that physical of making it 2 weeks between French Open and Wimbledon, and you're now had this hugely tiring Grand Slam, plus you played the week before, so it's the end of 3 weeks, and now you've got to go again for another slam in 2 weeks. You don't know how you're going to be physically ready. You don't have any time to spend on grass courts. So really, it's a disaster situation for Djokovic as far as how hard this would be. And if he can't, and if this has compromised his Wimbledon, him winning the French Open means he loses Wimbledon, then Wimbledon, French Open, a Grand Slam he wasn't expected to win, he's now won. But a Grand Slam he was expected to win, Wimbledon, he's now lost. So all he's done is exchange Grand Slams, won the French Open and lost Wimbledon, right? And then if he's lost it, who's going to win it? The next gen guys are poor there. And Federer, it's so hard at this age, being so long away from the game. So then suddenly there would be a huge opportunity for Nadal. But the next gen could do it. Federer could do it. He could find a way to get it back and do it. So, I mean, there's a lot on the line. If Nadal won there, the confidence of not winning the French Open wouldn't matter because he's now won a Grand Slam in Wimbledon, which is much harder for him to win. and the French Open's not for a while. So for him to have confidence winning on grass and hard court, that's going to help him to win the other ones on grass and hard courts because he's just won one on those type of surfaces. But if it's clay, he may think, can I make the adjustment? But if he's already won there, he's going to be feeling better at the US Open, the Australian Open, than he would be if he won the French. And all you've done is swap the Grand Slam. So that could happen. A lot could happen. But I really think that Nadal needs to be at least tied with Djokovic before the French Open next year and win it. And then go a slam ahead, and then we've got a battle. It'll be a problem if Djokovic is like one slam ahead before the French Open next year. And then Nadal, after winning the French Open, could take confidence and win the others. But like I said, Djokovic is in the pole position. It's very close. Nadal and Federer are ahead. You would say Nadal's got a better chance than Federer because they're already equal and he's 5 years younger. And then with Djokovic, it's only a year difference in age and he's got a slam ahead. So it's a good fight. But with him having no confidence of not winning the French Open, it'll be hard for him to win the others. And Djokovic with the confidence. But then the issue here at Wimbledon is, can Djokovic physically do it? How will he have time to prepare on grass? And if he can't win it, someone's got to win it, and it might be Nadal. And even if he doesn't, he was expected to win that and wasn't expected to win the French. So at the end of Wimbledon, he still just swapped the Grand Slams. He's at the same amount. The biggest impact of that is Nadal didn't win the French Open, so he's one behind where he would be. We would expect it to be 21 slams for Nadal, 19 for Djokovic, but now it'll be 20 to 19 because Djokovic won the French Open instead of Wimbledon and Nadal didn't win. But if Nadal takes advantage and wins Wimbledon, then we'll be back where we should have been and where it made sense based on the odds and the favourites. So we don't know who's going to do it. Djokovic is in the pole position, but some say it's better to have them on the board that Nadal does, 20 instead of 19. And a lot of it's going to depend on Wimbledon. Djokovic could tie it. He could physically not be okay, and then it could open the possibility to Nadal to go back up to, or neither could win, and then we're still at this position, and the US Open and the Australian Open are critical. Or also, we could see a situation none of them win. Nadal's done better at the US Open than Djokovic, so he gets back to confidence, wins there, takes it to the Australian Open. There's a lot of things that could be happening right now. But right now, it's like a best of 5 set match, and Djokovic is up 2-1. Nadal's time is to respond now, and then even if Djokovic overtakes him, it's a long race. They could be playing till they're 40, and Djokovic could overtake, and Nadal could overtake again. But Djokovic is in the best position now. I'll say that. That's true. And then we're going to see what's going to happen from here. But there's a lot of possibilities. This whole thing is far from over. And like I said, Nadal won his 19th Grand Slam in 2019. So if Djokovic is a year younger, he should have achieved it a year later in 2020 instead of 2021. So interested, but then we didn't play a lot of Grand Slams last year, so that could be the reason. But it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen here. But I think it's Nadal's turn. He needs to respond. He's still a slam ahead. He's got opportunities. So we'll see what happens. But Nadal could have ended the GOAT debate by winning this French Open. Instead, it's now basically even with him almost slightly behind in favoritism. So it's a shame for him that he had a terrible match, but the fight still goes on and he's still ahead and it's only a year different. And how do we know who's going to be playing well for longer when there's a year difference? We don't know. One of them could play till they're 40. The other could play for another year. Nadal seems a fit guy. He may outlast Djokovic. The next gen may come and stop these guys winning anymore. This could be the final Grand Slam tally. A lot of things could happen, but Djokovic has got the slight best chance. Nadal's got the extra slam on the board. A lot to play for. I think I've went over everything right now. So that's my video for today. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Have a great day or night. I'm trying to interview Nadal about his loss and Wimbledon chances, Federer about his Wimbledon chances, And I might even try. I'm really going to also try to see if I can get Djokovic, how he feels after winning his big French Open. So I've got a lot going on, guys. And just be back here. Subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. That's my video for today. Bye for now, guys. Bye, guys. Thanks for being with me.